My name's Jerry Cowell, I work for Partners Health Management. I get to do the housekeeping and then introduce Reese and then step out of your way. If you're not aware, the bathrooms are over here to your left. Also, if you did not get an evaluation form, these are here, so please get those. Get anything?
The photo consent.
Yes, if you are wanting to be in the photos that will be happening, please do the consent form. Beth, where are you at? Stephanie has those over there. So thank you all for coming. This is the first time we've done this, and the hope is this is something that can continue on over the years. So thank you all for being here. So with that, I will bring Reese up here. Reese began his journey with Special Olympics in 2007 by participating in the spring games with his school. Over the course of the last 18 years, Reese has trained and competed in bocce, bowling, basketball, swimming, tennis, skiing, powerlifting, sailing, and now cheerleading, and has earned over 45 medals at the state level. Reese has served on the Special Olympics North Carolina Athletic Council and continues to volunteer with that group for many Special Olympic events. He is currently on the Special Olympics North Carolina Health Messenger and can be seen on Zoom and YouTube helping athletes stay healthy and strong through the Special Olympics Good program. Is that right?
So good.
So Good program. Okay, the So Good program. He was the MC at the state level cheer tournament, so now you know why I asked him to take over today instead of me, and enjoys public speaking when given a chance. This past February, Reese attended Capitol Hill Day in D.C. to advocate for his fellow athletes with local representatives. He works at Village Inn Pizza, sings in his church choir, and is the best, most favorite uncle to his new one-year-old nephew. I will say, if you're traveling north on I-77 near the Camping World, look at the billboard. You'll see somebody there that's in this room. I'm not going to say who it is. But with that, welcome Reese, and he's going to take over.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for that nice introduction. I am honored to serve as the MC tonight. As Jerry said, I am the athlete with Special Olympics Idaho County. But what he didn't get to tell you is I really love a good joke. Would you like to hear one?
Yes!
Why should you never marry a tennis player?
Why?
Because love means nothing to them. Well, let's get started on our program. Tonight we are joined by Nicholas Beatty and Amy Collins. They will be speaking about the identity language was why. Nicholas is a 26-year-old. He is an undergraduate of Mooresville High School.
Let's go Blue!
Class of 2018, and currently works at the NASCAR Hall of Fame and with the Kannapolis County Ballers. He is an original member of the ECAS Youth Leadership Team.
Advisory team.
He enjoys all things sports related, and he is following his journey to become a sports broadcaster. He participates in several special needs programs, including Miracle League Baseball of Charlotte. Dream to achieve. Bowling and a Gap Bible study. He loves Paw Patrol, his family, NASCAR, and his Bible. Amy Collins is the exclusive director at the Exceptional Children's Assistance Center, which serves as North Carolina's Parent Training and Information Center, and Family to Family Health Information Center. She has 28-year old son with autism and has navigated the journey from early intervention to special education and transit to adulthood. Amy has a strong connection to families with children with special needs and finds great fulfillment in her work. Whether she's connecting them with resources or providing them with information to help them make informed decisions for their child. Thank you, Nick.
Ask him to come.
Thank you, Reese. So, I'm Nicholas Bally. This is my good friend Amy Combs. And we are doing a cool presentation. I know it's a little bit different on the program. Ours is called Say What, which is our presentation about I/VD language. So, Amy, why don't we get started?
Thank you, Nicholas. My name is Amy Combs, and I'm the Executive Director at ECAC, the Exceptional Children's Assistance Center. I am an Iredell County resident. My son Joey, as Reese mentioned in the bio, went through early intervention through the infant toddler program in Iredell County. He was in special education from the age of 3 until he graduated high school at age 18. Got a job at the Troutman Lowe's with the help of Stephanie Turbyville from what used to be Voc Rehab, which is now the Division of Employment and Independence for People with Disabilities. And he just turned 28, like, what's today, the 19th? So 6 days ago, so that is, it has been a journey and it sure goes fast. And so my colleague, Kim Arrow, sitting over there, she started hanging out in this Iredell IDD collaborative space, and she was like, you should come. And so I was hanging out in that space for a minute, and then one day they started talking about this symposium, and then Jerry was like, you know, I think we should maybe have, think about the topics, and maybe we should talk about, appropriate language, and I don't even remember what I said. But I know that the core of it was, I think when it comes to it, we really need to make sure that we're centered on what that individual prefers and not what we assume. And he said, that's perfect, we'll sign you up. Yeah, so I was like voluntold. It was like, okay, tag, I am it. And so I thought, what better way to have this discussion than to have somebody with lived experience be my co-presenter. And Nicholas is an excellent public speaker, so it's always a pleasure to work alongside of him. And so that was a little bit of our welcome. And so basically, we're not really here to tell you, what to do. There might be a little bit, or what to say, but there's certainly going to be some things that are never okay to say. But I think when it comes to disability language, I think that sometimes folks are saying, might be saying the same thing, but using different words. And so, it might come out differently. So, for example,
Tomato,
tomato,
potato,
potato,
data,
data, data, route,
aunt.
ant. So you can see that we're saying that we mean the same things, but we might say them differently. And certainly that is something that can happen in the disability community. And so we are going to dive in.
Yeah, and also a little bit about myself. If you guys know that we are with Special Olympic athletes, I'm a former Special Olympic athlete myself. But The only time I've ever went to the state level was actually being an official for the sport of bocce. So if you guys went to the state level, you might have seen me, you might have not. So I want to tell you a little bit about perspective, okay? Because perspective really, really matters when it comes to people with disabilities. So let's look at this beautiful image here. So what do you guys see? What do you guys see on the left? Yeah, you see a baby. You see this little musical thing. New parents, please help me out because I don't know what it is called. Can you say that one more time for me? Mobile. Thank you. So on the left, you have this what seems to be well-minded folks who think that this mobile is very beautiful. You know, it's going to play some music, it's going to help to calm the baby down. But let's look at it from the baby's perspective. Something is wrong here. And I'm not talking about the cute animals. Because all the baby sees is a bunch of butts and some very calming music. And Missy even puts a Shrek reference here, so I'm going to try to do my best not to laugh. Even if he likes big butts and he cannot lie, they should have taken into accommodation about what he should have seen. And that's what all disability stakeholder groups must have representation from the end user. Meaning that those with lived experience like me and probably some of these awesome Olympic athletes that you will meet later. Otherwise, you're just really guessing. You're to use one of the Special Olympic analogies, you're really taking a shot in the dark. Because otherwise, you're just guessing about what the needs is and what impact it will have. So we need to know that many individuals and organizations do have great intentions, but they want to make a positive impact on the IBD community. But in order to do so, you gotta remember one thing, and I'm gonna be saying this a lot: nothing about us without us. So always remember those 5 incredible words. Now, we're going to take a look at another image, which, if you notice the copyright, it was done in 1999. Sorry, parents, but that was the year I was born. So yes, I was born in 1999 in Altamont Springs, Florida, where my Florida natives at.
There's one.
Alrighty, so we see that Joe here is in this wheelchair, and the person is asking him, so what do you want to prefer to be called? Handicapped, disabled, physically challenged? And Joe says, Joe will be fine. Because first and foremost, Joe is a person with a name, just like every single person here. He has a disability, but he's more than his disability. I mean, look at all these awesome athletes here. Some of them are even wearing gold medals. And that, to me, wearing a gold medal in any Olympics is a huge honor. But sometimes there are good intentions, but Miss Amy can tell you there are people with bad intentions.
Mostly good intentions. But, you know, sometimes it's just not good. So I was going to talk about intent because it certainly does matter. And sometimes people say the wrong thing and that is not their intent. They might use words that are offensive, outdated, or hurtful. But the good news is you can still take those situations and turn them into a teachable moment or maybe have a positive outcome. And most of the time the intent is not to harm, but rather it's a lack of awareness. And so that's why it's important that self-advocates and those that advocate for our children or those that serve the disability community, that we are using those opportunities to bring awareness to what's okay, what's not okay, what's helpful, what isn't. So when, even if the intent is good, but the things come out wrong, it doesn't make it okay, but it offers an opportunity. I got a problem. I'm a legit McDonald's Diet Coke addict. You will never see me without one, unless McDonald's is out of Diet Coke. So I do have a couple go-to convenience stores where I'll go and get the Diet Coke, so I've got friendly with some of those folks. And there's a guy there who's typically very friendly. And so one Sunday I went in there, and there was a lady in front of me, and he said, "How are you today?" And she said, "Oh, I'm blessed. I just came from church. I'm blessed." And she said, "How are you?" And he said, and so I'm just going to preface this. I'm not going to say the word. You'll know what the word is. He said, "Well, I'd be better if people weren't so," and then he used the R word. And I'm like cringing inside because I'm like, oh man, I can't believe you just said that. I want to like this guy, but you hear that, I don't like it. So then I get up there and he said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm good, how about yourself?" And then he said it again. And I was like, and I put my head down and I said, "Look," I said, "I can't stand here and not say something." I said, as a parent of a young adult with a disability, as somebody who works for an organization that serves families of children with disabilities, it's not okay to use that word. It's especially not okay to use that word and equate it with something that's annoying or stupid or off-putting. It's 2025, dude. And I said, so I can't stand here before you and just not say anything. And he was embarrassed and he was humiliated and he was, "Yeah, I didn't mean it like that." I said, "I know, but that's how it sounds when you do that." And then I was like, I gotta see this guy again when I do my fix. And it's been fine, but it could have been really, it could have just aired that, it could have been awkward, it could have been terrible, but it was a teachable moment. And folks aren't gonna know the impact of their words if we're not using those opportunities to educate. So yeah, I did, I had to pause and breathe because I struggled with, just let it go, get your soda and get out of there. But then I was like, no, it goes against everything in my core being. And it was like, and I don't want him to say that to the next 10 people that come up to the counter. And so, you kindly correct or share your perspective. You could say, actually, that term's not used anymore. Here's what I prefer, or here's what, my child prefers, or here's what my friend prefers. Always try to model grace and invite learning rather than shame. There's a couple options of different ways you could say, hey, I know you meant well, but, that term can be really helpful to some people. Kind of like I said, dude, it's 2025. Of all the words you could pick, find another. There's a more respectful way to say that, kind of share it with you. And here's the language that I use when talking about disability. So those are just some examples. And so, typically most people have good intentions, but not all. And so as you navigate those spaces, just kind of be thoughtful about how can I reframe this conversation and use this as an opportunity to teach. I think when it comes to language, it's deeply personal, and it can be influenced by a variety of factors: cultural, age, their disability experience, advocacy movements. My mom is 84, and she uses some words in different settings, not just disability ones, but I'm like, you cannot say that. But she's like, in my era, this was okay. This is what we did. This is what we said. And I'm like, okay, but again, it's 2025 now, and you cannot say those things or do those things. Nicholas is part of our youth advisory team, and years ago when we launched that, we had a couple different members on there. We had several young adults and youth with intellectual disabilities, and then we had some youth that had maybe a learning disability, some with ADHD, we had some with dyslexia, but we had one that it was very outspoken, and she wanted, it's youth-led, so we kind of say, you guys have to do a webinar this year, let's pick a topic, and she very much wanted to do one that was on people first language, and that was very important to her. And we talked about it as a group with the youth advisory team, and I will tell you that the majority of the team, first of all, didn't know what that was, and they didn't know why it mattered, why it should matter, because it didn't matter to them. And so we had to respect that space and say, I get it, Caroline, why it's important to you. We can do something around this, but the message can't be that your way is the only way, because Nicholas feels different and Christy feels different. So again, back to the buts. You know, each individual, you know, what does it mean to you? How does it feel to you? She was great. She was a great advocate for herself. And she even said, you know, I've been looking, she ended up coming on her board. She was like, I look at the ECAC website. Is that really how the organization wants to be represented? You know, we use words like special needs. We use words like special education. And I was like, yes, and we are federally funded by the Office of Special Education, where students get specially designed instruction to meet their unique needs. We have funding through federal HHS, through the Health Resources Services Administration, specifically for children and youth with special health care needs. But I could see she was bothered by that. She was very much wanting us to change things to neurodivergent or differently abled. And so you can see some people feel very strongly, and I was like, until our funders change their name, we're good with this. And plus I didn't, me personally, as a parent of a young adult with a disability, it was neither here nor there for me. I was like, it is what it is, kind of a thing. But I respected her sharing how she felt, but then we had others on the team that was like, why can't I just say that I'm autistic? Why do I have to choose any of these other words? And there's like, you don't. That's the whole thing. You get to decide. And certainly, you know, the word special needs, for some, it is supportive. It's fine to some, and others are patronizing. There was a district out near the Raleigh area that had a very, very strong parent advisory council, special needs parent advisory council. And it was their district, and then SNAC, Special Needs Advisory Council. And that thing was around for years, and they were the most active, most productive family advisory council or special needs one that I was aware of, because we serve all 100 counties in the state. And they were doing very regular activities as a group, very strong ties with the families and the special ed staff, making those meetings accessible by providing Spanish interpretation. They were very active. It was like people say, does our district do this? I was like, model after them, model after them. But then one day, somebody came along and decided, there was a couple people in that space that said, we don't like the word Special Needs Advisory Council. We want to change the name. And that went rounds and rounds and rounds. And guess what doesn't exist at all anymore?
That.
Within months, they cease to exist. So you can see the words matter to folks, but sometimes it's like, wow. I was like, oh man, you had such a good thing going for years. Active, maintained that, and now they have nothing. You don't see them put out any meetings, no more flyers, no more events, and you know, it was a word thing. I'm not in that county, but I got to hang out in that space, and I kind of put my 2 cents in, and I said, well, you know, your kids are getting special education to meet their unique needs. And, no, but they're not unique, you know. So you can see people can go rounds and rounds and rounds with this. So I'm not saying I'm right, they're right, you're right, but I'm saying be prepared to navigate those conversations, because they will happen. You are going to come across folks that say, this isn't for me. But in the past year and a half, we're seeing disabled is really being reclaimed. People are saying, you know, I do have a disability and I'm proud of it, and I'm owning it, and here's what it means for me, kind of a thing. And so a lot of folks are saying, stop calling it something else. I like to call it what it is. This is representative of me. I'm more than this, but yeah, I have a disability. And let's remember that disability is a normal part of the human experience. So there's a lot more folks out there that have a disability that maybe don't. There's so many invisible ones that we may not be able to see. Neurodivergent, you know, that's a broader term. We'll see that used often for non-typical brain development, such as, you know, the ADHD, 'd, or the autism. So back to the people first language. Some people that, well, this is the hill they're gonna die on. The advocates of person first language, they really believe that the person with the disabilities is an individual first, which of course Joe was, Nicholas is, my son Joey is, and they shouldn't be identified by their disability. And so we would instead say, people with disabilities instead of disabled people. Or a person who uses a wheelchair, not a wheelchair bound person. Or a person who's hard of hearing or not deaf people. And I can tell you, I've had the conversation with my son. I'll say, Joey, if I were to tell somebody about you, do you want me to say, Joey's autistic or Joey has autism? And you know what? He's like, I don't care. But at least, if it did matter to him, I would obviously be respectful to that. I've heard him describe himself, he's added some diagnoses to himself. Because he's like, I have ADHD, and I was like, we weren't totally diagnosed, but that's like, did you remember to take the trash out? I have the ADHD. Yeah, so, but it is neither here nor there for him. It does not matter. But I do realize that for some people it does matter, but I know that about him. Joey, when he refers to himself and he's telling others, he's like, I'm high functioning autistic. There was a time back in the day where high functioning was an acceptable term. Now we got folks that don't like that. Instead, they want it to say low support needs. I'm trying to get you, I can't keep up, folks, and I'm sure it's the same for you. It's like, what is okay this week? But find out, if if high functioning, and especially in some of the autism Facebook groups, you say, please don't use that word, and others are like, I have reports, that's what it said about my son. So I got used to saying that, but now I'm not really supposed to say that. But I'm still saying it. But I do realize in some spaces that is not okay to hear that. Where was I going to go next? It was going to go to the identity first language. Is this you, Nicholas? Oh no, that's me. I got to skip my pages. So identity first language, that is where we understand that disability is a part of a person's identity. And some people, AC, there's my initials, see that? This was the accommodation I made for Nicholas, but apparently I needed more than Nicholas. So many people with disabilities prefer the identity first language, and that is an indication of disability pride. We're seeing that kind of rising the ranks of disability pride is getting to be something where people are like, yeah, this is who I am and I'm proud of it. So they might say, I'm disabled, instead of I'm a person with a disability, or I'm autistic, and instead of a person with autism. It's really important to note that the use of these, I don't even know if I can say this word, euphemisms, such as differently abled, diverse abilities, handy capable, they can sometimes be considered condescending to people with disabilities. And some people believe that shying away from the word disabilities contributes to the antiquated view that disability is something to be ashamed of. And so, again, as you're speaking to people or navigating a disability space, it's always important to ask and honor. Have the conversation. Don't assume, because Nicholas, you told me when we were practicing, what did you say?
Don't assume because it makes an ass out of you and me.
That is correct. So people have different identities and language preferences. And so, you just say, hey, Nicholas, do you prefer autistic or person with autism? How would you like to be introduced or described?
Well, whenever I disclose about my disability, sometimes I would say that I'm autistic, or I have autism, or I have Asperger's syndrome. And the cool way about it, it's okay if I hold my second. So one of the cool ways when I disclose about my disability is that, for anybody who doesn't know, or as Reese said, that I'm a big Christian fan. So the way that I kind of picture it, for any Christians out there, is like, here's Christianity, and here are all the different denominations. here's autism. Here are the different things that lead up to autism. And when I was diagnosed when I was, 4? About 4. My mom can tell you the correct answer. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. And then later on, it got folded into the parts of autism. So I would say, yes, I have autism. Yes, I have Asperger's syndrome. They're both basically the same thing. It's like saying, yes, I'm a Christian, and yes, I'm a United Methodist. It kind of works both ways.
So respect their choice. So once someone does share their preferred identity or terms, use those words. Be respectful. Even if it's different than what you might prefer, respect their voice and avoid correcting someone else's choice for themselves. Don't avoid correcting convenience store workers that are being rude. I was just thinking of a story back when my son was diagnosed. I had a neighbor, and she was a great neighbor. You ever have people in your life though that are like incredibly, like wildly brain smart, but then like no common sense? Yeah. And I was saying, yeah, Karen, I said, Joey got diagnosed with autism, and she was like, what? Really? I would have never thought that. And she's like, got like PhD in neuroscience. She was like, I would never thought that. I mean, I just thought he was weird. It was like, yeah, that's what I was going for. That feels a lot better. But again, she didn't have bad intentions. She just had no filter, she had no common sense. But you can see, like, people, she meant well. I think she was trying to make me feel better, but it was kind of like, I think I'll go with autism. If I have to choose between that and weird. So, this is Nicholas. Nicholas, why don't you bring us to the conclusion?
Alrighty, so in conclusion, we need to remember this big one rule, this good rule of thumb. So when it empowers, one person may offend another. So words really do matter. But the good rule of thumb, if everybody wants to say these 5 words with me, let's do it. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Nothing about us without us. Meaning, listen to and follow their lead of people with lived experience.
So Kim is passing out survey evaluations. I mentioned that we get a lot of our funds from the feds while the U.S. Department of Ed is still standing. We do. And they like us to collect data. So if you don't mind, there's a QR code if you prefer to do it that way. Otherwise, if you don't mind completing that, we would love to hear how we did. I didn't know if there was anybody that had anything that they want to add. I was thinking of some other stories. My oldest daughter is a special education teacher. She teaches elementary age students that have significant cognitive disabilities, and after she completed her student teaching and got her master's, another teacher gave her like one of those license plate frames, and it said like, I teach autistic kids, and had puzzle pieces, which my daughter has numerous puzzle piece tattoos because there was a time where the puzzle piece wasn't offensive. And now, now we got some folks that embrace the puzzle piece, and some people that say no, that implies that I'm broken, that I need to be fixed or put together. But I told her at the time, I said, you can't put that on your car. I said, because I'm hearing like some people are getting offended by that. The tide is changing a little, and maybe she probably doesn't have it anymore. But again, just knowing that, sometimes we have to be careful and do the asking. What is okay, what is not okay. Anybody have any comments or anything they want to share or questions? Working at UCAC, we specifically exist to serve families that have a child with a disability, and so families call us and will, tell us what's going on. Tell us the nature of your child's disability, and they will say, oh, my child does not have a disability. They'll say, oh, do they have an IEP, or do they have an IFSP, and then they say yes, and then I'll say, your child does have a disability. So I think as parents, that's another important conversation, is that we're having the conversation with our children at a young age. That's okay to have a disability, because if we want them to become strong self-advocates like Nicholas, like Reese, the more comfortable we are talking about it, the more able they're going to be able to go out in life and say, hey, this is something to know about me, and because of this I might need this, or I might prefer that. But in order to be good, strong self-advocates, we need to start having these disability conversations with our kiddos early.
Yeah, and something that I wanted to add is that it's also good that's also being referenced in popular media as well. Because back in, I don't know what decade, I'm sorry to ask the older generation, when did the movie Rain Man came out? So that again, what was your name?
Trial for the year was 1988.
Thank you. So in 1988, the movie Rain Man came out. Now, for the record, I'm going to say this. I've never seen the movie, but I have seen clips of it. And everyone's like, well, that's what autism is. It's like Rain Man. You know, it's like whoever played that autistic guy.
Dustin Hoffman did it.
Dustin Hoffman, thank you. That is necessarily not true. Because one person with autism is one person with autism. And now with, who remembers seeing that Sesame Street with the autistic kid? I can't remember the Muppet's name. Julia, thank you. Who remembers seeing Julia or meeting Julia? I think to me that was kind of cool and groundbreaking, because it's like you're talking to these kids who probably never met a disabled person or maybe will meet one, but it's kind of cool that they're learning at a young age. Who remembers Max from Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood? That was another awesome example, and I kind of relate to Max in a little bit of a way. If you were to compare the two, I would compare to Max a little bit more, because he knows a lot of cool stuff when it comes to bugs, if anybody remembers. And for me, it's kind of the same way, because I'm like extremely smart when it comes to like sports history. So for the athletes, I would ask them like, hey, how was Torino? How was the World Games? How was all the cool experience being in Italy? And then it's like, you know, it's pretty cool. And I'm like, well, I can't wait to see if you're going to make it to Santiago for the Summer Games in a couple years, or somewhere around there. Because to me, I'm like extremely smart when it comes to like sports history, or like when the World Games are going to happen.
I can vouch for Nicholas. He can school any of you on NASCAR, Bible, Paw Patrol, world flags, Olympics, sports facts. But we gotta go because it's Kim's turn in Jackson.
Yeah, so it's my honor to welcome another member of the Youth Advisory Team, my good friend Jackson, who will tell us about how to advocate from the family side. So Jackson, come on up and let's see what happens when we meet people who are family members on the disabled list. Reese?
Thank you, Nicholas and Amy, for sharing the great information with us. Let's give them a big hand here tonight. I am excited to welcome one of my fellow athletes from Special Olympics, Iredell County, and his mom, to speak with us about family and advocacy. Jackson Lowe is a 14-year-old student from Pine Lake Preparatory, who is a strong self-advocate for autism. Acceptance. He actively participates in his own 504 plan meetings, and he has taken a leadership role in his developing a self-advocacy club at school. He efforts to promote autism acceptance have included student-led videos, classroom presentations, and peer team, he has shared his personal experience and insights with students, parents, educators, and professionals at statewide events, including the North Carolina Inclusion Summit. His goal is to help schools better understand the student perspective on neurodiversity and advocacy. As lifelong animal lover, he dreams of becoming a veterinarian, continuing to his voice to make a difference for both people and animals. Kim has been a special education teacher for 10 years. She is passionate about helping children with disabilities succeed and achieve their goals, and this passion led her join the ECAC in 2024. In her role as training coach with the ECAC Achieve program, Kim is working with youth with disabilities as they learn to explore job opportunities, enhance their self-advocacy skills, and prepare for work in adulthood. Kim has a bachelor's degree in philosophy at Davidson College and a graduate certificate in special education from UNCC. Kim is also a volunteer for Special Olympics Iredell County.
I'm gonna put yours right down here. Okay. Can you get to the first page? All right. So thank you for that introduction. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Hard act to follow with Nicholas and Amy. Nicholas, I didn't realize what an infectious speaker you were. That was a pleasure to get to hear. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, Reese told you a little bit about us. We are going to talk about advocacy through the family lens. I know probably many people here have been advocates for your child. Many people here are self-advocates. I know a lot of you guys are amazing self-advocates, and I'm proud to know you. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about today, you may already know, and that's okay. I'm going to ask you to share some of your input as well. All right? Do you want to introduce yourself? Anything else other than what Reese said about you? He's a little bit shy.
I don't think there is really.
You covered it all.
You got it?
I guess I'll just do a quick introduction.
ahead.
I am Jackson Arrow. I just got into 9th grade. I have, as he said, I have autism and I am 14.
Yep. Jackson was diagnosed with autism at 2 years old. And so we have had a journey through learning for me to be an advocate for him and for him to learn to be an advocate for himself. Again, I work with ECAC. Amy mentioned what our goal is. So if you are a family and you need that kind of support, please reach out to us. And I work for a program called the Achieve program. If you have a child 14 to 21 who is still enrolled in school, who is interested in learning more about job exploration or self-advocacy or workplace readiness, come talk to me after. Okay. So, the goals of advocacy. We all have had some form of advocacy in our life, whether we realize it or not. But the goals of advocacy are to ensure that needs are understood and met, to remove barriers, and to empower self-advocacy and independence in those that we are supporting. So, no matter what situation we've been involved in, our goals are gonna kind of run the same, right? So if you think about a time when you have been involved in advocacy, these goals are probably ringing true to you. So what is advocacy? Jackson, what do you think?
For me, I think I think self-advocacy is one, stepping up for yourself. For example, I now participate in my 504 meetings at school, but I also think this is sometimes happens to me, I just blank out.
I do too, brother.
Okay, I'll come back to you. So how about somebody out in the crowd? Anybody want to say, what does advocacy mean to you? We have a lot of advocates here. Somebody tell me, what does it mean to you?
Speaking out for something.
Yes. Is that what you were going to say? What else? Anything else?
Supporting others.
Say that again.
Supporting others.
Supporting others. Okay. Nicholas?
Standing up for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Anything else? Yes. Yes. Barriers and what? What was the other? Reducing barriers. Absolutely. Did you think about what you wanted to say yet?
One, but it may not count as self-advocacy. So I was thinking of like not just saying stuff, but actually acting on it. Like if I say I'm going to help you with this and I don't do it, that's not self-advocacy for myself.
Yeah.
So in the mindset of ECAC and other programs, if I say I'm going to help someone, or a group of people, I need to do everything I can to help them.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Good job. So that follow through is very important. It's kind of what you're describing. So yeah, some of the common themes are speaking up for whatever, it could be a person, it could be yourself, it could be a cause, just speaking up. Finding solutions to problems that exist. Influencing decisions. Influencing changes in policy or in how things are done. And advocacy happens everywhere in every stage of life. And so why does it matter? Because it does matter. Why does advocacy matter? I've got a couple of things up here, but I want to hear from you guys as well. So it ensures that needs are heard and addressed. It helps remove barriers, like somebody in the back said, removing barriers and opening up opportunities. Protects the rights of those that you are supporting and promotes fairness. And it helps build confidence and independence for the people that you're advocating for. So anybody else have something you'd like to add to this? Why else does advocacy matter? Yes?
By including and not excluding.
Yes, excellent. Including and not excluding. Great answer. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So there are a couple different levels. When I think of advocacy, I think of it in a couple different ways. So personal advocacy is self-advocacy, advocating for yourself. So Jackson is learning to become a self-advocate, right? How many of you in here are self-advocates? Raise your hand. Wonderful, wonderful. And guess what? So am I had cancer, how many years ago? 14 years ago, I think. And I had to learn, when I went into those medical appointments, how to advocate for myself, right? So all of you who didn't have your hand raised, I bet you are a self-advocate in some way, right? Another level of advocacy is interpersonal. So you're advocating for somebody else, you're supporting somebody else. So you're advocating for a family member, you're advocating for a student, you're advocating for a friend. That is where I spend most of my, that's sort of the space that I occupy. And then there's systemic advocacy, where maybe you're working like Reese went to lobby on Capitol Hill. That's systemic advocacy. He's trying to influence change on a wider scale, right? And so you can, have space in all three of these, and sometimes you're experiencing one leads you to the other. For me, as I shared, my own personal journey prepared me for a year later when Jackson was diagnosed with autism. So I had learned how to question what the doctors were telling me, or how to get the support I needed, or how to navigate the systems that I had to navigate through. And so when he was diagnosed with autism, I took those skills and put them to work for him. And then again, when my husband had COVID and he was in the hospital, same thing, I took those advocacy skills, I was advocating for him. Many other times, whether you're advocating for a sick family member, or an elderly parent, or a child with a disability, there's advocacy everywhere. So think for a minute about where you are on this continuum. Maybe you're in all three. And if you are advocating very strongly in one of the top two, you're probably leaning towards that third one in some way. At ECAC, our staff is really heartily in that third systemic option. We are looking to create change for those families that we support. And again, real life examples. So if you are supporting someone else in learning to advocate, I think a lot of times as parents of a child with a disability, we get bogged down in the educational aspect, right? They have an IEP, we need to get them their accommodations, we need to make sure that they're, getting their rights are protected and we're getting them all of the services they need. But do we lose sight of the fact that they're not going to be in school forever? And are we preparing them for those next steps, right? So are they going to be able to, in the workplace, understand their rights? That they can't ask for accommodations? What if they need a break? Are they going to be able to ask for that? If they're in a healthcare setting, are they going to be able to, advocate for what they need or how they're feeling? Right? So all of that is part of self-advocacy. It doesn't begin and end at school. It's certainly a big part of it, because I feel like for so long, that's, as parents, where we spend the majority of our effort, is advocating in those school systems. But we also have to sort of think long-term. And self-advocacy, so advocacy, but self-advocacy, for those that we support, self-advocacy is the end goal. To the extent possible, that person that we are supporting needs to develop the skills to advocate for themselves. So, Jackson, can you talk about some of your self-advocacy skills? What do you think is important in self-advocacy?
So, what I think is important in self-advocacy is, one, knowing what, first of all, actually fully knowing what you want instead of just saying random things that you think. Two, I also think it's important to know how to get your ideas across, because right now I'm having really a lot of trouble getting my thoughts in my brain outside my body. And then third, I think it's important to gathering facts.
You're doing good. So Jackson, when this happens to you, when you kind of have a hard time getting your thoughts out of your head, is that a moment where you can be an advocate for yourself? What do you usually say to people when that happens?
When you think.
Yeah, right. And one of the things that Jackson, he just got into, school just started this year, 9th grade, he's going into high school, it's a new school, new teachers. And one of the things he does every year is he kind of prepares for that next step by creating a one-pager. Do you want to talk about that?
So, my mom usually makes a draft and writes it, but I do help with creating the ideas. And like this, I help to create some ideas for me to say. So, it's a lot of trouble for me to make up things, to improv right here. So I need to like have some details or at least some stepping blocks to bounce off of and create my ideas. So if, for example, if a slideshow needs to have like quick bullet points, I will practice saying those and expanding on it and try to remember what I said before instead of just reading the bullet points and saying things that were random.
Okay. What about the thing that you give your teachers at the beginning of every year? What is that? How does that help your teachers to know you?
So at the beginning of the year, we sent to my teachers a kind of like a one-pager that talks about like my disability, my like age, my details, and like what I want to be. From fact, I love animals and I really want to be a vet. So I send that to all my teachers, and it helps them like get a understanding of me.
And it includes the accommodations that you have, why they're helpful for you, right? So that when you walk in on the first day, they kind of know. So self-advocacy being the end goal, starting in childhood, everything that we do, our kids are learning from us, right? And so from a very early age, as we're advocating for them, they're watching how we do that and they're learning from that. So we want to make sure they are seeing empowerment and not just emotion. Sometimes we do become frustrated with the systems. We can become upset that we're not getting the things that we think our child needs, and that's completely understandable, but we're modeling for our child in that moment, how do we overcome that? So we have to make sure that we are practicing self-regulation and good communication and problem solving and all of those things as well. So here are some skills involved in self-advocacy. I want to know if you guys can think of any others. So we have listening, we have gathering and presenting facts, understanding perspectives, navigating those systems, proposing realistic solutions, emotional regulation. That's a lot of skills, right? What else? Is there anything else I'm not thinking about? What else is involved in advocacy?
I think community networking.
Yes. Networking is a big one. Absolutely.
Building relationships as well.
Yes. Building relationships, 100%, yes. Because if you're on the same team, it's easier to get things done. Absolutely, yeah. And all of these, yes, back to back, sorry.
Knowing your resources.
Yep, absolutely, knowing your resources. That's why organizations like ECAC are here to help you navigate and understand those resources. Did you have something?
Transparency.
Transparency, absolutely, yes.
I also think being curious. Don't be afraid to ask the question.
Yeah, absolutely, being curious, don't be afraid to ask for what you want or what you need or what you think should be taking place, absolutely, yeah.
And understanding what you need and that those needs may change over time.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah, communication is a big thing. We don't, I think, often realize how much we communicate in just day-to-day life. But absolutely, even, like, think about if your loved one with a disability or you yourself with a disability, if you go into a new environment or they go into a new environment, are they gonna be able to communicate, you know, maybe they could do it at school, maybe they were comfortable with their teacher and they could tell their teacher, I need a break. Can they do that outside of school? Can they communicate their thoughts and feelings in a different scenario? And so those are things that we have to think about as well. And all of these skills that we're talking about, they're all transferable to other things in life, right? Communication is everywhere. Understanding different perspectives, that's everywhere. Everything we do, we're practicing these skills. So if we're modeling for our children from a very early age, then they're going to be developing these skills that are important throughout their life. Okay, so Jackson, you're back on the spot. Let me ask a question on you. So why is self-advocacy important?
Self-advocacy, I cannot speak. It's important because it helps, like, one, you know more than someone else might. For example, even though your parents might know a lot about you, know more about your disability and what it does, you know what it feels like and probably know what you need. So you have to communicate also with your parents and your teachers to say what you need and what you think you need.
Yep, great. And so what tips do you have for people who are still learning to advocate for themselves? What tips?
I would just say, I guess just speak up for yourself. Try not to be, just remember that you are talking about yourself and what you're talking about is important. If you say something that seems derogatory to you, I guess it may not, I don't know what I'm saying. Know what, I guess what I say before, know what you need and know what you need to ask.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help because it's going to help you be successful, right? What about for parents or teachers or support people who are out there? What tips do you have for them?
So I guess switching the view, I would ask parents to try to ask their teachers, not teachers, the children what they think they need, and try to also research on their own. You can't just like go in like, oh, this means this, and even if you think it's right and it may be, it's good to actually look it up because you might be totally wrong and that might like importantly impact something in your child's life.
Okay. Yeah, so asking is what I heard. Ask the person what they need. Don't assume, don't make assumptions. Don't believe what you read on the internet because every person is different, like Nicholas told us before, every person is different. So ask them, ask what they need and what support you can provide. All right, ways to support self-advocacy. Start early, start small, and start strong. I know we have a lot of people in here who have years of experience in being a self-advocate. I would love to know something that helped you from an early age. Does anybody who is a self-advocate have an idea of what helped you learn how to be a self-advocate? Does anybody want to share? Do you want to share? What helped you to become a self-advocate?
Are you talking about my story or what helped?
Either one. Everybody else could be thinking while Jackson's sharing.
So I guess if you're talking about my story, it probably started around when I joined not ECAC but Special Olympics, and I think not as many times as I have now, but also like said my needs to them, and then my mom told me about ECAC and what they did, so I applied and got in, and it's been a learning experience. I learned a lot about self-advocacy and also was with other people that are similar to me, and I felt like I could, and I had fun. And I guess that also helped me move those skills over to school where I had actually can take my 5-4 meetings by myself and also advocate my needs in class and to teachers.
Yeah, great. So you started small and you built up from there is kind of what I'm hearing. Yeah. Anybody else have that same experience? Those of you who are self-advocates? Starting small, working your way up. Yeah. Seeing some head nods. Yes. Sophie, do you want to share or are you just saying, yes, me? Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes. And then for professionals out there, people who are supporting you, parents, professionals, teachers, whoever's here in that community, encouraging confidence, encouraging growth, and encouraging independence at any point possible. Starting with self-advocacy at a young age is so important, and that could simply be encouraging them to know when to say, I need a break. You know, maybe even through an AAC device or a card on their desk that they flip over when they need a break. It is never too early to start self-advocacy, and I am a firm believer that every child with an IEP should have a self-advocacy goal, if for no other reason than to understand their disability and understand their needs. So helping in that aspect, helping, like Amy was saying in her presentation, teaching the person about their disability, because the more they understand, the better they're going to be able to advocate for themselves. And remember that advocacy is not just about reacting to challenges, because there are enough of those challenges that we spend a whole lot of time reacting to them. But it's also about shaping opportunities and paving the way forward. Do you want to say anything?
One, I haven't done this in a while, so I am very rusty, so I haven't been this, I don't know why I'm this nervous. I've been nervous before, but I don't know why this has been my most nervous outbreak.
Well, you just started school, so your brain's
It's
probably
true.
tired. Yeah. Great, excellent. Thank you guys all for being here. I would love to talk to anybody afterwards. If you do have a child 14 to 21 and you're interested in our program, come talk to me. And Amy is handing out surveys, so again, those help us with our funding. And Nicholas is handing out surveys. Okay, yes, so thank you again for having us, and go out and be your own advocate.
Thank you, Kim and Jackson. Thank you, Kim and Jackson. You both did a great job. Next, joining us is Nancy Stacy Lawrence with Partners Health Management, who will be talking about registry unmet needs in 1959 services.
Amy, do I have to?
Do you, I was gonna say, I have everybody's PowerPoint, but I don't think I have yours.
Oh,
Do you have one?
technically, yes.
I have. Bobby, do you want to send it to me real quick and I can?
I think my computer just not doing more. But you know what, I'm really good at presenting without a PowerPoint. So,
There we go.
As a Peace Corps volunteer, or return Peace Corps volunteer, we do a lot of things on the fly. I am always flexible. So, again, I am Stacy Lawrence. I am a member engagement supervisor, and we Partners in General covers 15 counties, and I am over 8 of those counties. Malik Gant is the one that's over Iredell with you guys, so you guys might be more familiar with Malik than with me. But I'm here with you tonight to tell you a little bit more about Partners. So who is Partners? Do you guys know who Partners is? Yes? Majority of you do? So I'm gonna give real quick then, because since most of you guys know, long version, Partners is your local management entity or your managed care organization. Short version, we manage Medicaid funds. That's one of the biggest things that we do. So we manage your innovations waiver, so North Carolina Innovations Waiver, for our 15 counties. The wonderful thing about it is, so every LME, local management entity or managed care organization, they all have their own counties, so we're not competing with each other. So we manage the 15 counties that we have. So you guys are with us with Partners. And so what that means is, not only do we manage and serve those who have mental health, severe mental health, substance, or someone who might have an intellectual developmental disability or traumatic brain injury, but we also have state funds for those who might be underinsured or not insured at all. So that's the big picture of kind of what Partners does. But to bring it into the things that you guys are really gonna wanna know about, we have the Innovations Waiver. So who knows about the Innovations Waiver? A lot of people. Can you tell me some things about the innovations waiver that you guys already know, and I will fill us in from there? Amy, what's one thing you know?
It's eternal, and there's 19,000 people currently waiting for it. Sorry, I know, I was probably supposed to say something positive, but.
There's no lie, there is a long wait list, there is. Who else has something that they know about the innovations waiver? Oh, silence after that, does that, all that everybody knew that it's a long wait list? Okay, you only know the bad, so okay, I'm gonna say all about the good, okay. So the innovations waiver, it does have a really long wait list, but it has a really long wait list because it's so amazing. There's only a limited slots, but once you're on it, you have access to day programs, you have access to respite. If you need modifications to your car or to your home so that you can be more independent, coming and going from the community and going outside just to enjoy outside, the innovations waiver can help afford some of that stuff for you guys. If you need someone, because you're like, I want to work, I can't really do it by myself, but I want to do it. So there's supportive employment. There is community support. I want to do more than just sit in my house every day. So there are things that kind of help you become more social. And so that's kind of what the innovations waiver is there for, is to bring you out of the house, to make you more independent as possible, to provide you with social activities, whether it is Special Olympics and things like that, or you wanted to take a dance class, it kind of helps with those things as well. So it just really gives you more social and independence. So those are the big things about the innovations waiver. I also know that that program helps with getting, if you decide like, hey, I know right now I live with my family, but I don't really want to always live with my family. It can also help provide that kind of support too, depending on what your needs are, you know, so that you have that option as well. The thing that we're talking about that's like, oh, it's really long, it's called the Registry of Unmet Needs. So did I tell you how slots are open? I don't think I did yet. So slots are open if our government, our wonderful government, says, hey, we're gonna give you some more slots, which actually did happen while I was working for Partners at one point. So we did have a couple get sprinkled in there for everybody. But then there's also if your time comes up and you're like, no, you know what, I don't want the registry, I don't want the innovations waiver. We don't need it anymore. So then the next person up gets to come on in. And then of course, because it's lifelong, once you're on it for life. So when it's that time to transition, that spot becomes open for the next person, okay? So that's why it's so hard to get on, because it's such an amazing program. It also, did I tell you, it also helps with day programs, so that, let's say 22, you can no longer able to stay in school. What are we gonna do? I still have to go to work, my husband still has to go to work. I have to figure out what you're gonna do. So it does help pay for that program as well. So I want to make sure that we put all of those things out there on what it can do to help and be there for you. Unfortunately, as Ms. Amy let us know, it is a long wait list. That's why we encourage, as soon as you know, 3, hey, I know my baby's gonna possibly need this. Get them on the Registry of Unmet Needs. We do have, it's called a roadmap. Partners have created a roadmap. And so it actually takes you through the steps to get you to where you're really trying to go. So there's a telephone number for you to call the Partners agency. Just something to keep in mind, that you will need your legal guardian. So if it's not you, then your parents will have to be the one to call. It can't be your caseworker, it can't be your teacher. They can call with you, because it's gonna be overwhelming sometimes. And so you'll want that extra support. So allowing them to be there and present with you is also beneficial. But the parent or the guardian has to be the one to call. So if you're your own guardian, that's fine, you can do it. If the first time you call, you should be setting up an appointment. But once you actually have the call to get on the registry, it's about an hour and a half long of a telephone call. So don't call and say, oh, it's just gonna be a real brief thing. You're gonna be on the phone for a little bit. That's why I said you might want somebody in addition to be with you, to give you that additional support. Things that you might want to have when you make that telephone call, you will want a psychological evaluation. And your psychological evaluation for those who are 3 to 18, or let's say 3 to 17, it needs to be every 3 years, but 18 and older, it has to be every 5. So every 5 years, you have to get that evaluation updated. The other thing you'll need is your medical assessment. So if there's any medical assessment documentation to support your diagnoses, all of that is definitely needed to make sure that you have it on hand to turn into partners. And then if you have an IEP or a 504, any of those educational documentations, you will also need that to get submitted to partners in order for them to qualify you for the services. Let's see. If you don't have a psychological evaluation, that's okay, because you can always get help and signed up for an evaluation. Just let them know that, hey, I don't have an updated one, and they can help you get that. Let's see, make sure we've done all the steps, most of the steps. They will do, while you're on the telephone, they will do the health risk assessment and social determinants of health assessment. So that's something that they'll be doing over the telephone. That's why it takes so long, that hour and a half, they're gonna be asking you some questions to make sure they have all that information that they may need about you. And then just keeping in mind, Medicaid services, again, the supportive employment, respite care, long-term care services, and more. So that's the importance behind the innovations waiver and why you get on it. But don't wait till the last minute and be like, oh, my baby's in high school and I need to sign up for this. That is not the time. The time to do it is as soon as you learn about the innovations waiver and as soon as you learn about the registry. That's when you want to get them on so that your baby will be ready when the time comes. Then there's also the 1959. So let's say, I forgot to tell you one important thing about the waiver. The waiver is not just for someone who has Medicaid. That's the whole part of the waiver part of it. It waives those Medicaid requirements. So let's say someone who is on the wealthier side and they have a child that has special needs or an intellectual or developmental disability. And so they too can say, hey, I know my baby's not gonna be able to take care of themselves later on. Let me set them up as best as possible. And so that is one of the positives for the innovations waiver. It waives those rights. Now, let's say you do have Medicaid, but you're still on the wait list. It's okay, because you might qualify for what's called 1915I services. And so then with the 1915I services, it taps into, it's not called a day program, but it's like a day program. Beth, what's it called? It's not called a day program, it's the LCTSS.
Oh, long-term community support. Yes.
That one, you heard it, long-term community support services. It taps into those services for you so that you might need that extra. It's that in lieu of service, that in between that bridge as you're waiting for your slot to open up on the innovations waiver. But it also helps with respite, it helps with community support, employment support, supportive employment. So just because you're not on the waiver, there's still hope. The 1915I, you just get an assessment by your tailored care manager or your case manager, and they should be able to assess to see, hey, do they qualify for this program? More than likely you would. I can't say though for sure, but just saying. So if you have a caseworker with partners, then you should definitely look into the 1915I services if you are on that wait list trying to wait to get you a spot in the innovations waiver. Any questions so far? Yes, sugar. You are the sugar.
Just a quick question. So being that the list is so long, can a family or that person give a call and find out what number, like an actual number, they are on the list?
You can. There definitely, you can. And there's also a website. If you see me afterwards, I can look that website up and get it to you. Because there is a website to look.
It's a dashboard.
A dashboard.
For the county.
For the county.
And just to clarify, that number where you are is fluid. So as people come, if they move from county to county, they get to keep their spot. So if they come on April 1st from Buncombe County and they got on at 10 o'clock and you also got on that waiting list at April 1st at 10:05, they will slide in there. So it's a fluid list, because one person, if they move counties, they don't need to drop to the bottom of the list, so they get to keep their slot. But that's the same if you move to a different county, you slide in the same place. So they can tell you where you are, but it may be that day at that time, and it could be fluid because people are moving all the time. And so it's not a guaranteed number or date and time. Your date and time will always stay, but it's you're not gonna always be number 59. It could fluctuate.
I can also tell you, if you leave North Carolina, you left your spot. So it doesn't transfer from state to state. It's just North Carolina, anywhere in North Carolina though, so it's not even just in Partners District. You can go to Bahia or Trillium, and you still have that date and that time. Yes, sir.
Do you have to be on the registry of that age to receive the 1959?
You do not. They do not work together like that. They're two separate things. So yes, anybody who has Medicaid, so technically the 1959 is for severe mental health, severe substance, somebody who has severe traumatic brain injury. So severe plus the behavioral health needs. So yeah, so nope, 1959 and innovations, that's a myth. So if somebody told you that is a myth. Glad you said that, because that was on one of the slides. Talk about the myths.
How long is the list in years?
So what I've been told, sir, so you can get a good giggle and slight side eye at me, it's 10 to 15 years is what I've heard. So, but I told you how the slides open up, and it is until it's a lifelong, so once you're on.
It's funded by the General Assembly. Right.
So once you're on, and it is funded by the General Assembly, so you can always go and advocate. As we were just talking, it's not up there anymore, but as we were just talking about advocating, that gives you that moment to be like, hey, my baby needs this, let's fight, let's unite, because that's also the big thing. We have to unite, and stand together on that. But yes, but we did just get like a couple years ago, and when I say few, it's sprinkled out to the 100 counties, just like a few. Are there any more questions?
I wanted to clarify that, when I was grumbling about the waiver being eternal and 19,000 people waiting, that wasn't a slam to Partners or any of the other MCOs. It's just like, folks, we've got families that have been waiting a decade and a half for these services. Our General Assembly's got to do something. This ain't working, the math ain't mathing.
So I do have, if you want to be able to look into who your person is, I have some forms on the table. And but you have the numbers of those people that you would need to call per county. So you can say, hey, we need more. So when I was talking about advocating, this is definitely a big moment to be able to step up to the plate and say, hey, let your voice be heard. You're not just fighting for yourself or your family, but it's the community as a whole. You said it was how many? 1,900?
It's just under 19,000.
19,000.
People waiting, and many of them have been waiting for over 10 years. There's some people that have been waiting 17 years.
Oh my God.
On the waiting list.
So, if you have a slot, be very thankful. If your mom got you in there as soon as she found out about it at like age 3, because somebody told her it is needed now, that is a good thing. A lot of people don't know about it. They don't even know to put their baby on the registry. So it's good to hear about it. If you know of a little, go ahead and get them the information that their parents are gonna need to get on that wait list. So that again, when the time comes, because that's the main thing, when the time comes and they hit 22 and they're really gonna need these services in place, that's when it matters the most. Because I definitely have worked with the family, and the grandmother, which was the legal guardian, has taken her baby out of high school before 2022. And they said, hey, this works best. The way North Carolina has it set up, it works best if you leave them in school, and then they'll cover after the school age. So that's why when I emphasize 22, that's why I'm emphasizing the 22. Because they do have in school for those work hours where parents are like, oh, now I gotta still continue to make money. They still can go to school, but then after that, what happens? So making sure you get your babies in on the innovation as soon as possible is always important. I can't emphasize it enough. When we're at all of the events, we're always talking about the innovations waiver because of the importance behind it. So there's schools that you're like, oh, this school doesn't really know about it, they're not talking about it. We don't have a problem coming into the school and saying, hey, let's educate our parents on what's available. Those resources that I know Amy and her team also try to pass out and make sure people know about. We want to make sure that you know about the innovations waiver so that as soon as you can, you can. Did I leave anything out, Beth? Innovations waiver?
I don't think so.
Yes, sugar.
Are the slots based off of county population, or are they based off of every county gets equal number of
Nope.
slots?
Great question. It is a population.
So with an increasing number of people moving to Iredell County, could that impact the number of slots we get?
Ooh, when you say it like that, that does not sound positive. But it's just the
In
facts,
that
it's the
case,
facts,
we
right?
win. Look at all this stuff building up, we win,
Yes.
right? And we get more spots or not?
You get more spots,
But you got more people.
but you get more people. So it's like, it is a population thing, but that's right, catch 22. So yes, unfortunately. I don't like to be the Debbie Downer. I want to end on like a positive note. Any more questions, comments? I got you, sugar, yes.
It's not a question, but, there is a group of stakeholders, sponsored by partners, for community, long-term community services.
And supports.
And I'm a member of that group, and I've learned a lot, and not just learning a lot, but it's an advocacy community. It empowers you, to know what's out there if you have a child that needs long-term services. And, they are seeking members. And I think the application is online, or I have it. I have it on my computer, but it's online.
It is.
also.
It is.
And it's a great group. And it just meets 4 times a year. Correct?
Every 2 months. I think
Every 2 months, 6 times. It's not
Six
every
times.
month even, but it's very good.
So gotcha. Anything else? All right. Well, if you have any questions, also another plug for partners. If you are interested in knowing what's going on in the county of Iredell, there's a sheet on the table that I'm sitting at that you can sign up so that you can get all the different things that might be going on. And you can also attend the community collaboratives. So that's something else. If you want to stay in the know, that is also an option. We can get you signed up so that you can get those emails. Now, mind you, they may be a few, but you can choose what you open and read. Like, oh yeah, this looks like it's really important. You got the back to school things. You got all the information that's coming through Iredell. So it all comes to Jerry, and Jerry sends it all out. So he's really, really good about keeping us in the know of what's going on in Iredell. And if there's no more questions, comments, or concerns, I will pass it back.
Now moving right along. Thank you, Stacy. Before I make the final introduction, I'd like to say, before we move on, let's take a minute to thank the city of Statesville and the Statesville Recreation and Parks for hosting us tonight. And now our final introduction will go to Special Olympics of Iredell County. It's my mother, Bobby Williams. She has been involved in Special Olympics since 2007. As a parent, coach, and a volunteer, after retiring from out-of-state schools, she became the local coordinator for Special Olympics Iredell County. She is married to Ted Williams, who is celebrating his birthday, 63 years. He's the mom of 3 young, beautiful sons and grandma to my 1-year-old nephew, Coulter. And my last thing I'm going to say, she was recently selected as the coordinator of the year for this year.
Thank you, Reese. I do want to tell you, Ted, I did not put your age in the script. I also did not put in there that I was the coordinator of the year year, but since Reese brought it up, thank you, Reese.
You're welcome.
I have been telling people that that is definitely not a me award, but a we award. And we have so many wonderful people in this county that support Special Olympics, from our coaches, our parents, and definitely our athletes, our donors, our community partners. And that's what makes my job so easy, and that's why we're able to grow and have the success we have. It really has very little to do with me. And before we move on, I do also want to thank Jerry. Jerry, will you stand up, please? This kind of was his brainchild, and we're going to recognize the community. We are going to recognize the committee at the end, but I'd like to give credit where credit is due. And this is Jerry's brainchild. He's talked about it for a while. And when I speak about community partners, at the top of the list is Jerry. And what Partners Health Management does for Special Olympics, we're so grateful for that. So I'm here tonight to tell you about Special Olympics, and I'm going to keep my part of this kind of short because the stars of the show are going to speak, and that's way more important than anything that I can say. So very quickly, just to let you know, Special Olympics is the largest athletic youth program for people with special needs. And in North Carolina currently, I had to update this number and that just tickled me to death, there are over 53,000 registered athletes in this program. So this is our mission, and I'm not going to take time to read it to you. I'm going to point out some key words in this. We are a year-round sports program, and we are for people who have intellectual developmental disabilities. And our sports are Olympic-type sports. They are real sports that these athletes work really hard at. And when you're part of Special Olympics, you're guaranteed to experience some joy, and you are going to develop some skills and have the opportunity to share your happiness and your gifts with other people. So that's what we're all about. Who's eligible for Special Olympics? Any person who has an intellectual developmental disability. And some people might say, well, what if I have a physical disability? That's fine, that's okay, but unless you have an intellectual developmental disability, you're not qualified to be an athlete with Special Olympics. However, you can be a unified partner, and so this program is very inclusive. It offers an opportunity for people of all ages to get involved in some way. And so we want you to know that there are unified sports available for people to participate in. The age requirements, we actually start serving children as young as 2 years old, and I'm thrilled beyond belief about a program that we're getting ready to start. I tried this on my own last summer, and y'all, it just belly flopped. It was so bad. And then Grace, who works at the Iredell Library, she's just a ball of energy. She found the Young Athletes program somewhere online, right, Grace? And she reached out to our state office, and then they reached out. They were like, hey, there's this girl at the library who wants to do this program with y'all. And I was like, great, yes, okay. So Grace has worked incredibly hard, and we are partnering with Iredell County, we're partnering with the library, the city of Statesville, and Special Olympics to have a real bona fide young athletes program this fall. And so before you leave, please visit our table. Wave at them, Stephanie. There's Stephanie. Stephanie will get you a copy of this. If you know of a person who is between the ages of 2 and 7, if they have a disability or if they don't, they can come and participate in this. The purpose of this is to learn all about gross motor development and to get some social engagement for our young athletes. So the lower limit on the age is 2, and there is no upper limit. So as long as you can keep getting it, we'll keep taking you to something to participate in. Okay? We do have lots of opportunities for our athletes to participate. We hold 3 local competitions each year. We have bowling, we have basketball skills, and then we have spring games. And a lot of people will say to me, hey, are you having Special Olympics this year? And what they're referring to is that day that we go to Statesville High School, and everybody thinks that's all there is to Special Olympics. Y'all, we are 365. We really are. We are busy all the time doing something. This program is year-round, and we do a lot of things with these athletes. So, 3 local competitions, and then we offer 15 Olympic-type sports that athletes can come and train and compete in locally, and at the state level, at the regional level, at the national level, and the international level. We have athletes that live in Iredell County who have competed in China and in Austria. We have a young man sitting in this room who competed in Seattle, Washington. So this program is big. We also have opportunities for our schools to be involved through Unified Champion Schools. If you're a school person, come see me. I'll talk to you about how to make that happen. We have a So Good program, and that is a virtual workout program that kids can do, I call kids, athletes can do on a Tuesday night. And guess what? Y'all can do it with them too. I can't. I tried, and I thought we might have to call 911 that night. It's a workout, but it's great. It's a great program, and it has an app that goes along with it called Goose Chase, and the athletes get in there and they compete and they do these missions, and I hear Reese in his room doing jumping jacks and all kinds of things all the time. And so it is a great program to keep them engaged. And then one of the things that I love most is that Special Olympics is so much bigger than just sports. Our athletes have the opportunity to become leaders, and I think that is so important. They can become global messengers, they can become health messengers, they can serve on the State Athlete Council, they can learn to train other people on how to do things in Special Olympics. On Saturday, we have 3 athletes that are going to go from our program to teach coaches how to work with people with special needs.
Wow.
They're going to be teachers, and I think that's wonderful. So it's so much bigger than just sports. Okay? Here's our local programs. The bowling competition is October 31st for our elementary kids. Independent athletes, which is most of you sitting here, you're out of school. Your competition is November the 7th. I'll be sending you information on that. Our basketball skills competition will be held in February. And then spring games, go ahead and mark the date, April 14th and 15th. High school and independent athletes will be April 15th. These are the sports that we're offering. Well, they're all the sports that are offered in Special Olympics North Carolina. The sports in red are the sports that we offer here locally. I am most excited because on Friday I get to go to KPAC. Everybody know what KPAC is? It's the Gymnastics Center. Okay, we have a meeting with them on Friday so that we can start a gymnastics program here in the spring.
Wow.
So excited about that. Okay, and if you're sitting here and you're looking, I hope you notice these athletes can do snowboarding. They can do alpine skiing, and they do sailing down at Lake Norman. We don't do that here because, there's not a lake for that here. All right, and then again, these are all of the rest of the sports that we're offering here. If they're in red, then we're offering it. This is our gold medal cheerleading team from the Super proud that now we have 2 guys that are on the cheerleading team. And when I tell you they look good in their uniforms, they were GQ, baby, let me tell you. Okay. All right, so how do athletes prepare for these competitions? Right now, they're training a minimum of 8 weeks. North Carolina is recognizing that that's probably not enough activity for our athletes to get them in the shape they need to be in to go to competition. So we're getting ready to step that up, and we're going to ask our athletes to train for a minimum of 10 weeks in their chosen sport, 1 to 2 practices a week. When they go to competition, they compete against people who are similar age, gender, and ability. And so what that means is if I get in the swimming pool, and I'm not going to swim fast, y'all. Let me do Tyler Bowie. That's a better example. If Tyler Bowie jumps in the swimming pool, he is going to swim a 50-yard or 50-meter freestyle in probably, 38, 40 seconds. 40 hours may not finish that. They are not gonna put me in the pool with Tyler because he's gonna blow me out of the water. And so they don't do that for a couple of reasons. We're pretty far apart in age. He's a guy, I'm a girl. He's way faster than me. So they're gonna group us based on our age, our gender, and our ability. Our athletes are awarded, as you've seen tonight, or heard the click-clack of their medals. They receive medals, and they also receive ribbons. And we've already talked about how far they can go with their competition. So how can other people get involved in Special Olympics? Become a unified partner. What does that mean? That means that you go to training and you go to competition with these athletes. You don't have to have a disability. You can go and train and compete. We have a volleyball team that has, it's a unified volleyball team. And we have young ladies and one mom that participate on the team with the athletes. And I always tell everybody the first year they were kind of rocky, but somehow they ended up winning a gold medal at state. And having that relationship with the Unified Partners means a lot to our athletes, but I will also tell you that it means even more to our Unified Partners. The young lady, one of them, is on a team, or was on a team from a high school that had won a state championship. And she said by far it was the best experience for her to go to Special Olympics, that it beat every other tournament that she had ever been to. I think that's pretty big when you've been a state champion with your high school team. Always you can volunteer to be a coach, a sports assistant. Just come out and help us any way you can. I'm going to skip talking about Unified Champion Schools. Again, this is a great program to promote inclusion within the school, and if you're interested in that, let me know, because it is a great program. I do want to really quickly hit on So Good. Again, this is an 8-week training program that is done virtually. You can log on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and athletes will lead you through a warm-up, and then there's an exercise instructor that gets on, and one week you might be doing Pilates, and the next week you might be doing some kind of dance or shadow boxing or just any variety of workout. The materials are provided for you. There's a tracker where athletes keep up with their exercise, the amount of time that they work. There's a little booklet that comes along with it. There's got QR codes you can scan, and it shows you recipes and how to exercise. And then if you turn your trackers in, you have the opportunity to win a lot of different prizes, some really good prizes too. So get involved. That's getting ready to start in September. And we've already talked about how this is more than sports and how our athletes have stepped into leadership roles and how proud we are of them for that. Here's what we want you to also know. Our Special Olympics program receives funding from grants, from donations, and from fundraisers. We do not receive any funding from the government, so when we raise our money, we have to work for it. Very, very fortunate to have in-kind partners like the City of Statesville, who gives us, they help me to have a job here so that I can focus on Special Olympics. They provide us with space, they provide us with transportation, and we're very fortunate for those things. Why do we fundraise? Why is that important? Because we never ever charge our athletes to participate in Special Olympics. They don't pay for uniforms, they don't pay for travel, not for hotels, not for food, not for snacks, not for a bottle of water. They pay for nothing. If we have athletes that have individual needs, their shoes are getting worn out, whatever it is, we find a way to make sure that those things are covered so that our athletes have the things that they need. All right, if you want to learn more about Special Olympics overall for the state, you can look up sonc.net. Please follow us on Facebook. That's where we post a lot of information. You can also email us at iredale@sonc.net, and I will put you on our newsletter list so that you can get the information that you need. So we're at the part where, this is the part I'm excited about, and so I'm going to ask my panel of athletes if you guys will come on and make your way up front. Wow. Y'all just pull you some extra chairs up, it'll be fine. Y'all just sit up here. Okay. We got a few more than I anticipated tonight, so that is wonderful. Y'all give them a hand as they come up. Okay. Now, I did ask them all to prepare a little brief speech about how Special Olympics has impacted their life. So who wants to go first? Princess Sam, do you want to go first? Or you want to wait? Sissy, you want to go first? Somebody's got to go first.
Come on, sis.
Come on, sis.
Come on, guys.
All right, we're going to let Sissy go first. All right, so as Sissy, come around this way, Sissy, don't trip on wires. So this is Sissy Blackwell. Sissy has, I don't know how many years Sissy's been a Special Olympic athlete, but she is very active in her program. She participates pretty much year round. You can see, I told her not to wear all her medals tonight. And, so she does some of them at home, but Sissy is, I'm not going to tell you what they do, because they're going to tell you what they do. And I wish we had time at the end. We have a great video of when her basketball team won a gold medal at state. And they were interviewed, but they had no idea that they were being interviewed. They thought they were just coming to practice to hang out. And this guy from TV Charlotte, what was the name of the place? Charlotte something. It was some Charlotte TV program. I had picked out a couple of athletes. I was like, we're going to interview these folks, but we're not going to tell them. Well, they started lining up. All of them started lining up. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he said, we'll interview every single one of them. And when Sissy started speaking, I started crying. And this young lady has just the biggest heart of gold. And she just does a wonderful job at everything she does. So I'm going to be quiet and let Sissy give her little speech. Okay?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you doing this evening?
Yeah.
Me and my friends are so happy to tell each and every one of you about Special Olympics. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sissy Blackwell. I am 30 years old. I have been involved in Special Olympics for 6 years. I have been an athlete ambassador for 2 years. Being an Olympian was my biggest dream since I was just 5 years old. Me and my mom used to stay and work at the Fifth Street Homeless Shelter to get back on our feet. While we were there, we met Will Smith. He used to do devotional every Tuesday morning. Before he finished, he used to tell us, "You are loved." One day, he talked to my mommy about Special Olympics. He also talked to my mommy about going to practice. I thought about it, and I didn't know if I wanted to join Special Olympics. Then I remembered the conversations I had with my papa, and the promise I made to him before he died in 2019. I went to the practice, and I had a blast. Today, I do 5 sports. I would like to tell you the sports I do, the coaches, and my favorite memory from them. The first sport I do is basketball. The coaches are Randy, Eric, and Roy. My favorite memory was when we played against the coaches and our parents, and we won. I don't know who had more fun. Was it the coaches or our parents? The second sport I do is cheerleading. The coaches are Kim, Janine, and Stephanie. My favorite memory was when we sang and danced to Party in the USA. Who knew cheerleaders made great choir? The third sport I do is flag football. The coaches are Ted, Randy, and Eric. The assistant coach is Maxie. My favorite memory was when one of our quarterbacks named Preston threw me the ball. Then I ran down the field and scored my first touchdown ever. I did not even know about it. The fourth sport I do is softball. The coaches are Susan and Maxie. The assistant coaches are Randy and Eric. My favorite memory was getting all the balls in the outfield between second and third base. The fifth and final sport I do is unified volleyball. Unified means we have athletes who do not have special abilities play with us. The coaches are Ted and Tammy. The unified partners are Kelly, Barrett, Ellie, and Reve, who I call Renee. My favorite memory was getting the ball over the net at the Special Olympics North Carolina 2024 Summer Games. If I had to choose just one sport as my favorite, the sport would be flag football. I have some hobbies I love to do when I'm not doing Special Olympics. Cooking for my family is at the top of the list. On Sunday, me, my mom, my dad, and my grandfather, who I call Pop, go to Wesley Memorial United Methodist Church, where everyone asks me if I have any games or practices coming up. I do a lot of arts and crafts. I also like to help the people who are less fortunate than me. Special Olympics has impacted my life by having wonderful friends in Iredell County and all over North Carolina. I have 3 wonderful families who care about me so much. None of us will be here if it wasn't for our parents and coaches. And we definitely would not be here if it wasn't for the 2025 Special Olympics of North Carolina logo coordinator, Ms. Bobby Williams. Just like our parents and coaches, Ms. Bobby works tirelessly for us. Let's give Ms. Bobby, our parents, and our coaches a big round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, great job, Sissy. Thank you so much. I told the rest of them they are not allowed to mention that award. I think they know people. All right, so next up I'm going to ask Chase Stroud to join us. The transformation that I have witnessed in this young man through Special Olympics is remarkable. And I think he may touch on, you have to come around. He may touch on that a little bit in what he says tonight. But this is just the most fabulous example of why young people need to be involved. Young people, old people, little people, it doesn't matter. People need to be involved in Special Olympics. So Chase Stroud.
Thank you, Miss Bobby. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. As Bobby said, my name is Chase Stroud, and I am 34 years old. I have been involved with Iredell County Special Olympics for 9 years. And those past 9 years have been some of the best of my life.
Wow.
My family was looking for a way for me to make connections after high school, and my Aunt Joyce let me know about a group that bowled on Tuesday afternoons. I knew I had found my place the first time I went. Everyone was so welcoming, and I instantly felt at ease. I left the bowling alley that day feeling so excited about the future and had already made several new friends. From there, other athletes introduced me to new sports and coaches, and they encouraged me to become more involved. Since becoming involved in Special Olympics, I have participated and competed in bowling, bocce, basketball, sailing, softball, tennis, volleyball, and even cheerleading. I don't mind. It is so hard to choose, but if I had to pick a favorite sport, I would say basketball. Since I have played it the longest, I enjoy the teamwork it requires, and I get to spend time with my dad, who is the coach. I have more great memories than I can count, but I do recall how thrilled we all were when we won our gold on our first volleyball state level competition in 2024, and when our basketball team won gold twice in years past. The memory that stands out the most was the state competition that my friend and bocce partner Preston was able to hold on to our lead and secured the win for gold when I had a seizure and could not finish the final round.
Wow.
He was there for me and showed a lot of courage doing this on his own. I will never forget it. Special Olympics has given me so many other opportunities in addition to sports competitions. Recently, I have had the opportunity to train on the state level as a global messenger and become a member of the North Carolina Special Olympics Athlete Council and represent SO as an athlete ambassador. I also recently completed a games management training. These trainings and workshops have shown me I can do much more than I ever thought possible by traveling and staying overnight independently and being held responsible for certain tasks. I enjoy working with pottery, trout fishing, and have also raised chickens for several years now. I also never miss a chance to travel, and I love to see new places. My life before Special Olympics was very different. After high school, I lost touch with my school friends and teachers and did not feel motivated to be healthy and active, neither physically or socially. It's amazing how quickly you can lose good health without exercise, friends, and motivation. Having friends and coaches that encouraged me and got me excited to grow stronger and be more competitive makes it much more enjoyable. I have more friends and connections now than I ever had in school, and I'm so thankful for that benefit. The highlight of my life was being chosen in 2018 to compete on the national level at the USA Games in Seattle, Washington. I competed in bocce against other gold medal athletes around the country, and I was able to bring home a silver medal. For Iredell County. It is an opportunity that I will always cherish and will be so grateful for. The invitationals, competitions, and other Special Olympics events have led me to meet and get to know so many people in our community that I otherwise would never have had the chance to meet. Their faith and belief in me have encouraged me to learn and try new things. I'm a healthier, happier, and more active member of our community, all due to Special Olympics and the people involved. Thank you for your attention.
Good job, Chase. He represents us so well in so many different places, and if this is a prime example of grabbing hold of the whole total experience and doing all that you can. I'm going to go ahead and call Jonathan Hughes up to come and speak next. But while he's on the way, I want to make sure you know that next Tuesday night we have our annual ice cream social and sports registration night. So the flyer is on the table with Stephanie. Please pick it up and take it. Share it at your church. Share it with your neighbor. Share it with whomever. We want everybody to know about Special Olympics so that we don't get to a place where a person is finishing high school and they don't know and they're looking for things to be involved in. We want them involved as early as possible. So I'm going to welcome Jonathan Humes up. Jonathan is just the most genuine sweetheart of a young man, and he is also, don't let his his size fool you. He is super strong. He's one of our power lifters, and not just a power lifter, but a gold medal champion at the state level. And so we're really proud of Jonathan, and turn it over to him.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Renard Humes Jr. My father's name was Jonathan Renard Humes Sr. My mother's name is Angela Lewis Myers Humes. The reason why I participate in Special Olympics is because I wanted to make some new friends. And I found 3 people, no, more like 4 people, who was always there for me by my side. Though my heart may be weak and so despair, but I'm not alone. It grows with new experience, and I have family and friends by my side. I became a part of their hearts, just as they become a part of mine. Their names were Chase Stroud, Sissy, Brett, and then there's Preston Mobley, and the one person who makes me laugh, and his name is Preston Fox. He was more than just a friend. He is my brother, a brother who I cared about the most in my heart. I love him with all my soul and spirit. Every time I think about him, he's always there for me. And so the 3 families who are like mothers figures that I hold dear to my heart. Their names were Mama Susan Stroud, Mama Bobby, and my mom, Angela Humes. She was always there for me, but every time we both try to make a living, even though we fight and hurt each other, but that doesn't mean our family and our friendship remain. We just need to hold each other when we are down and about. My favorite about being an athlete is to be with the people I cared about, but they were more than my friends. They are my family, and I will cherish the most with everything, including having a father figure like Papa Randy Stroud or even Ted, because I love them with all the hearts and soul, and I do whatever I can to be a independent and always there for those in need, because I may not good in fame and fortune, or even have gold medal because I'm not a gold child. I'm a benevolent child, and I'll always be proud of who I am, because that's who I am, because I love my friends and family.
If we all just had that heart. Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna call the princess up. Come on, princess. All right, so this is Sophie and Underwood. And as they say on TikTok now, you better like her. You can't help but like her. You're gonna love her. She's the sweetest thing, and she is sassy beyond sassy. And she is a recent high school graduate. And she's very involved in Special Olympics and does a lot of great things. You ready, Miss So?
I guess.
All right, you're gonna have to stand over here so everybody can see you good. Can y'all see her? You want me to hold this or you want to hold it? Go ahead, Rockstar.
Well, my name is Sophie Anna Marie Bonobo. I am the youngest. child of Will, my dad, and Stephanie, my mom. I just graduated from Statesville High School. Thank God. From Statesville High School. And I can't wait to start my next chapter of running to Mitchell Community College. And my nickname is Sam. Princess Sam. I enjoy swimming, tennis, and hang out with my friends. And with my family. And my handsome boyfriend. His name is Jaden Isaiah Hickman. I love to travel everywhere. I like to cook, dance, sing, and my favorite food, and all of us every day, is sushi. Sushi, avocado, and pizza.
Well, you can thank Partners for that pizza. You better say a huge thank you for that.
And vanilla ice cream. I have enjoyed this class through middle and high school at Statesville Dance. Tell how you got involved in Special Olympics. I came involved in Special Olympics through my mom, community involvement. Tell which boys do you?
What's your sports you do? Tell me your sports you do.
I hate like it. Which one is my favorite? It's tennis.
Tennis, okay.
And swimming, bowling, cheerleading, and I hate skiing. Kickball, bocce, basketball, accolade. Participate? Oh, yeah.
Just tell me. Go ahead and tell me your favorite memory. What's your favorite memory of Special Olympics?
My favorite memory of Special Olympics was I was younger. I see Miss Barbie everywhere. She's my favorite. And I love her. Because I was so good, I was point at the basketball player.
Okay.
And of course, my swords, which is made out of bed in inside swords, come on to the kind of road. Ian Greenspool.
If you want to come, yeah.
If you want to come. Well, half of it. And I like to have everywhere. Friends, in my house. Is an adult. I am adult. And my fans, especially Olympics. I love you and have a great evening.
Prepared to speak, and while he's coming, Keith, if you'll come up, I do want to recognize some other athletes that joined us tonight. Preston Fox, whose name you've heard a few times. Preston, you have to watch out for because he likes to knock Coach Randy down at football. We just think it's because Randy's old. And yeah, he's gonna get Ted this year, he says. But Preston, if you'll send up, this is Preston. He competes in unified volleyball. He does powerlifting. He does snowboarding. What else? Bocce, bowling, tennis. Jerry's back there giving me symbols. He does tennis and unified volleyball. And he's not wearing his medals tonight, but he has quite a few medals. And the thing that impresses me about this young man so much is his heart and what he's willing to give and do for his fellow athletes. And Preston is an extremely independent young man. He drives, he works, he gets himself everywhere he needs to be. And he's a tremendous support for other athletes and helping them get places that they need to be and getting things that they need to be able to participate. So Preston, we are grateful for you and thank you for being here tonight. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Brett Troutman to stand up. And Nicholas, you two need to spend some time together because I can guarantee you it would be quite the battle to watch you two on sports history. And also on movie trivia. If you ever are in a trivia competition, Brett is the man you want on your team because he knows every movie, he knows NASCAR, baseball, I don't know what. Wrestling, he knows it all. And then also, he is a long time participant in Special Olympics. He is a fabulous bowler. If you're in the bowling alley when he's there, it sounds like he's going to knock the back wall down. You don't want to be in the way of that. And then he's also quite a golfer. And so, and also an athlete ambassador. If I need a speaker to go out and share information, I like to call on Brett. He's quite the funny man. And so Brett, we're thankful that you also came along tonight. So please, let's give it up for Brett. Last but not least is the sweetest soul in the whole building. And that is Mr. Keith Smith, who I have no idea how long he's been in Special Olympics. But he's done so many wonderful things, and he's going to share share with you his experiences.
Hello, my name is Keith Smith. I'm a special. I'm 50 years old. I've been a special Olympics for over 20 years. Love Special Olympics. I first got into Special Olympics with golf and Coach Derek Keeney. We practiced Brian Keeney's yard with Brian Sir, Zach Brother, and Kimmy Smith on golf skills. Went to state and I won a gold medal. Then I did swimming with Coach Tony Stockbrother at the Iowa State and went to state in June and got the gold medal. I was hooked on Special Olympics. My favorite memory of Special Olympics is practice in Brian golfing with Ann Keeney's yard. Now I practice golf at States for Country Club on the Grill Golf Course. I play bocce, basketball, and bowling, plus tennis, golf, swimming, and sailing. I have 7 silver medals. I've sailed at 8 Roman Yacht Clubs and at the James Island Yacht Club in Charleston, South Carolina. South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, and Georgia competing, plus the Dolphins and Pelicans. I do other Special Olympics. I'm an athlete ambassador for Special Olympics. I represented Special Olympics at 3 grand openings of the Sheep Stores in Iredell County. I've decorated and spoken at the donor appreciation banquets in Iredell County and presented application gifts to donor businesses. I have worked with the Knights of Columbus, collecting money for Iredell Special Olympics at Food Line and Dunkin' Donuts. I have represented Special Olympics at Publix, Turkey Bingo, Pork Lunch, and Sewer Tank Club. Outside of Special Olympics, I do volunteer work at Gut Filler. I'm a regular reader and usher at Harlem Methodist Church. I enjoy fishing, photography, painting, and cooking. I took a cooking class at Mitchell Community College this summer. I'm working on a cookbook, trying to make at least 1 dish per week to build my independence. Also, I hope to publish my cookbook someday. I entered the Iredell County Fair each September. I won blue ribbons with my photographic pencil, art, and acrylic paint. Last year I won $37 by placing with ribbons. In addition, I participate in the animal grooming and showing of an animal. Each of our partner helps us show the animal on Saturday at the fair. I received $25 in a bag of goodies plus a huge ribbon. Playing sports and Special Olympics keeps me physically fit. I play sports in Special Olympics every week. My best friends are in Special Olympics. We see each other more than we do our relatives. At state games, we eat out together in a room together. Easy State or our hotel. So come join us at Special Olympics. Be a coach, be a unified partner. Be acting like me. It's fun.
I hope that what you heard when these athletes, well, I hope what you saw was the joy that they have. And I hope what you heard was a lot about the love and the friendships and the connections that they have with one another. And also with the adults within our program. And another big component is the development of their independence. Reese and Chase have been on the athlete council, and that's kind of scary as a parent when they say you can't go with them. And they have to go and spend a weekend in a hotel without you. And I'll tell you, the first time Reese went and did that without me, I'm calling him, and he's not answering. And finally, about 11 o'clock, he answered. I said, "Where have you been?" And he said, "In the bar." And I was and I thought I would die. And so I said, "In the bar?" And I said, "Who's your roommate?" He said, "I don't have one," and he hung up. So, in my head, you know, he's in a hotel where he's going to get kidnapped, and I'm going to get a ransom note soon. And I called his brother at NC State, and I said, "Get in the car and go check on your brother right now. He's in Morrisville." He said, "Mom, you're overreacting." So come to find out, he was in the bar with all the other athletes and their advisor, and they were watching a basketball game and not drinking, thank God. And he did not have a roommate, and he survived. And I survived. And I know that Chase has had those similar situations, and Susan, and the letting go is hard as a parent. And so that's what I want you to know is that this sport helps to develop the whole person, And if you didn't hear anything else that anybody else said here tonight, except what Stacy said about getting your child on these lists to get somebody to work with them, to get them out in the community more, to help them for when we are not here, make sure that you heard that thing. And make sure you pick up her roadmap if your athletes are not, or your person is not already receiving services. Thank you. I'm gonna turn it back over to Reese.
Okay, I've been following Special Olympics since 2007, so that's been a long time. I've been following Special Olympics since more than you can ask for, so, I've been in Special Olympics since, Lake Norman was part of Iredale.
Which
and my grandma and my late cousin Rob Wynn was thinking for them, and that's why I got involved in Special Olympics. Thanks to y'all for being here tonight and for always representing Special Olympics so well. We hope you have enjoyed the evening and learned something new that will be helpful to you in the future. Please take a minute to complete the short evolution before you leave, and be sure to drop it in the red bowl where the podium is at. I would also like to take a moment to recognize the planning committee members. If you are part of the planning committee, please stand. For their hard work, again, thank you for being here tonight. Please be sure to visit all the resource tables before you leave. Thank you for coming.